Hello.
Hello.
How,
Hey,
how is everyone today?
Hope you're all well. We're here to talk Mandalorian today, and we have our official Bindu with us.
hey everyone.
You may have seen him or heard him rather on that Resistance stream we did a ways back.
Yep, but I'm doing webcam this time, and it's like kind of crazy at the same time. Like because it's like my first actual like doing the face cam, so I'm a wee bit nervous. But hey,
We're gonna have
so
fun.
we are.
Oh man, but yeah. So Mandalorian comes out soon. Yeah.
It does, yeah. Like it's crazy how like 1 week away we got like Jedi Fallen Order, we got Resistance Reborn coming out this week, or it's already out in the US.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have again Mandalorian, and then we also have Rise of Skywalker in a month, which is just
Mm-hmm.
like this year has just gone fast. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Like it's just gone fast.
I and then Django. I mean, your moniker is based off of a Mandalorian, so you've got to be pretty darn excited.
I am. So like, I was I was gonna make a joke about how I thought this was just gonna be I get to talk about how awesome Django is for an hour, but other Mandalorians are cool too, I guess.
Oh man, I'm excited because well, for many reasons, but like right off the bat with Filoni involved, I'm hoping for some connections to other Mandalorians we've seen throughout the Star Wars universe so far.
I would be surprised if there weren't references to especially some of the ones we met in the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
or at least
Yeah,
those clan names if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we do see like Ahsoka and Sabine maybe in live action with Dave Filoni directing episodes, maybe like and as a like a background moment, like they're searching for Ezra, like putting up signs saying, "Have you seen this missing person?" I think that that would be just kind of
That would be
cool,
awesome.
On
or
your
just like an Easter
Have
egg,
you seen this boy? He really likes whales.
It's on your blue milk carton.
or even on like just basically Sabine's armor appear in
Oh
the show.
yeah, yeah.
I think that would be kind of cool to see.
My pie in the sky dream is that they would have Bo Katan in the show,
Yes.
Satine's sister.
You know?
But like, I mean, she could be played by Katie Sackhoff, who voices her, because it would work. She just
I
has
think
to
in an
like dye her
interview
hair.
with Collider, she was under DNA or not DNA. The other yeah,
NDA,
the,
NDA.
yeah NDA. Sorry, my bad.
You're
Um,
fine. You're fine.
it's just like um, but yeah, it's basically like she did confirm that she could be in the Mandalorian, but maybe not.
I love
Um,
that.
but yeah, it's really interesting to see what characters could appear. Maybe even
Yeah.
Hondo even because we
Oh,
do have a live action Hondo at
Hondo.
Galaxy Edge.
Yeah, I would freak out so hardcore. But it's got to be fun for these actors, or maybe frustrating. I don't know. But like, Ewan McGregor was recently interviewed about how he had to lie for the last 5 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen like videos on YouTube saying, "You McGregor talks about Obi-Wan. You McGregor talks about Obi-Wan." It's like every interviewer is talking about his return to Star Wars, which is great, but he's probably like getting sick of it now. Like he just wants to talk about his new movie, the Stephen King's new movie, of course,
Oh
Doctor.
yeah, Doctor Sleep.
Yeah, which I'm glad that Ewan McGregor has returned to Star Wars because I did see a petition somewhere on the internet that like The Rock could play or play a better Obi Wan as in Star Wars, which I was like, nah,
No, that
nah,
that
we need
that
Ewan
sounds like
McGregor.
that sounds like an article someone made to
Yeah,
make a video.
I'll tell you though, one of the things that I think I'm most excited about from the Mandalorian, apart from the Mandalorian, is Ming Na Wen's character. Um,
yes,
she is the one reason why I've watched Shield as long as I did, um,
Yep.
yep, same here.
because
I still can't
Melinda
watch
May
the
was my
last
favorite.
episode of season 6. Like after when I found out what happens to her character, Like I got spoiled, and I was just like, I cannot watch last episode without her character being in it. So,
But
I was say I gave up on that show in like the fourth season, so I'm happy for her to be in a show that I can watch now.
yeah, same here.
yeah, I'm just I was glad to see the the extra was it Vanity Fair that put out the extra footage today?
Yeah.
Yes, it
Just
was.
the first little glimpse and article about her character and like the tie-in possibly to the Conja Club and everything like that. But
Yeah,
she's one of my
somebody
favorite
noticed
like
she had the
television
same.
actresses.
Yeah, she has the same last name as one of the Conja Club guys. Would be a cool connection.
And I feel like as well, like with her character being in Star Wars now, I feel like she may backstab both characters in a way. As like I think Verity Fair said that she's gonna be kind of like this assassin character
Yeah,
from what I've been reading. So maybe like she betrays both characters and then goes off on her own, and she becomes the main villain for the second season.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
That would be kind of cool to see.
I just want to see like the comparison between somebody who's like a bounty hunter and somebody who's specifically an assassin. I feel
Right,
like that dynamic would be really fun to see play out on stream or on.
I have always thought it was funny in the Clone Wars and then in Rebels and then in what was the Hondo book, the Lou Anders book? I'm Pirate's Price.
Pirate's Price.
Where Hondo is always like, yeah, I'm not a bounty hunter, I'm not a smuggler, I'm a pirate. Like,
Yeah. I have standards. I'm a pirate.
I just hope like somewhere in the Mandalorian we just see Hondo in the background, like in the cantina, just like drinking away or something like that. I think that would be kind of cool to see.
See, our friend CK Videos, formerly Solo Pirate, says hype for Carl Weathers back in his early youth. He used to be confused with Billy D, which is a fun connection. It's kind of like the Samuel L. Jackson, Lawrence Fishburne thing now. But no, I'm excited for the cast they have.
Yeah, same here.
Hey Georgie, how's it going? Still Solo Pirate, just different account. I gotcha.
yeah,
Like
it-
the Mandalorian will be the most pirated show when it comes to like release, cause they're doing stuff in different countries. Like
Yeah.
they're releasing it in the US
Hey,
first, and I think New Zealand as well are releasing it. I'm not too
Yeah.
sure.
It's coming out here in the U.S. and the Netherlands because the Netherlands already have Disney Plus.
Yeah,
In a week, and then in 2 weeks it's going live in New Zealand, I think, and Australia, and then the UK for sure gets it in the spring, and then
yeah, which sucks because it's gonna be like the most pirated show. Like I would have to. I'm probably most likely going to pirate it because I really do want to watch it because the Mandalorian Twitter account is just gonna spoil every episode
right.
for sure. And then you probably have the official Star Wars account tweeting out clips of it.
Right.
So it's just going to be kind of really interesting to see how Disney will handle the piracy for the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I was
And
talking to one of our friends from our message board who lives in Norway, and there's no date announced at all for the release there. So it's not even like some future spring date. It's just everything. Like just no definite thing at all. And Solo, it'll be every week.
Yep.
So that'll be one that the pilot will drop next Tuesday when Disney Plus goes live, and then after that it will be every Friday.
Yeah, the last episode is like December 27th, I believe, so like right after Christmas.
Yep.
Which is just like crazy.
Yeah.
And Georgie, I'm still mad that they did that. For those of you who don't know, and they did that for Kanan too in the fourth season.
Yes, which is just like
That made me so mad. Where they just like, here's a video when this character dies. Or I got mad because the most recent episode of Resistance that aired here, the thumbnail on Disney Now like spoiled the twist of the episode. I'm like, how do you guys not have a department? Do you not watch the show? Do you not understand?
they're just like, we have the clip here, let's just upload it for views and money, and then boom.
It's like, come on, guys.
I mean, I'm so happy I watched it like in the morning before it came out, which is just like crazy how like they actually do that, and
Yeah.
I hopefully do tone it down in a
Mhm.
way because it will help people for not being spoiled.
Yeah.
So and a lot of people were like mad about Kanan's death as well when they found out that Disney uploaded it on their official YouTube channel.
Like
I think
that night.
exactly. I think it had more dislikes than anything on their channel, if I remember, like the
Hmm.
first half in the morning.
Yeah.
But then, as many people have watched the episode, then they put a thumbs up on it. So
Well, like I said when
Yeah.
we did our stream a couple weeks ago about the Rise of Skywalker trailer, as a Batman fan, anything that's not like the Batman v Superman trailer, where it just beat by beat tells you everything that
Here's the
happens in
whole
the film.
movie.
I've still not seen Batman v Superman
Well, just
yet.
watch the
That's
trailer
one.
and you can get the whole thing in 2 minutes.
Be
Uh,
fine.
that's that's one thing I still need to watch on my watch list. So.
Here you go. You can borrow mine. Right there on the shelf.
But well, no, like we were saying, is I feel like there's so many people who will end up hondoing it, but they would
Mhm.
also gladly pay money for it.
Yeah.
Like the problem isn't that they want to steal it. The problem is that they don't have access to it. Would gladly,
I'm definitely gonna like pay for the service, of course,
yeah,
because it's a good service. You get to watch like all Disney films
yeah, and
and
it's
like all Marvel films, and I'm
yeah,
gonna watch everything on that service when that comes out.
it's
Well,
So
we've even
extremely
talked with
reasonably
Star Wars
priced.
creators before who were like creating relevant content, but because they
Mhm.
were overseas, weren't getting access to the things because of the release dates.
Yeah,
Like, and
exactly, yeah.
it's just it's a
And, and I
nutty
also
thing.
believe that season 4 like got finished like after January
Mm-hmm.
for because we had to wait so much
You guys had
time.
to wait forever for Rebels.
Mhm.
It was crazy.
But I just watched it online, all of it online, which is
Yeah,
just like I'm glad I did.
because you wouldn't be able to stay unspoiled, and they're just not getting money at that point.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't understand the policy. But anyway, to the show itself. What about the character of I would presume it's Cara, Cara. Hey, 2 Johns in the chat. Welcome, John Barry. Is it possible to turn up the audio? Possible.
I can try to bump it a little bit, but it's already peaking in OBS. So.
Yeah. But the character Cara Dune. It's kind of funny. Every time I hear her name, I think of Caleb Doom,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
one letter different, and it confuses the heck out of me. But she seems to be really interesting. She's this kind of mercenary-like character, but she's got the rebel Starbird tattooed on her face.
Yeah.
Which that to me that is a big attitude of I don't care if you know I'm with the rebellion. Like you're tattooing their logo on your face. Like it's not if I put on a long sleeve shirt, I can hide my ink. That's like here it is on my face.
I'm really excited for her backstory though. It's gonna be really interesting to see because she kind of has that Vader kind of costume look
Mm-hmm.
on her. Like in the first promo image that we got for her character, like she has like the buttons on like her top, and it kind of reminds me of Vader's suit in a
Mm-hmm.
way. And I think her character will most likely be developed the most in the series.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to find out more about her character when the show comes out.
Now there was the one image, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I think it was one of the Entertainment Magazine ones, and it looked like it was the Mandalorian, her, and then the woman maybe who's appeared in some of the trailers who may or may not be, I don't know, the way it seems like very close to the Mandalorian, if not they're in some kind of relationship. But do you think it's going to be a case where Cara is like a longtime friend of of the Mandalorian? Does anybody know if that's what it is? That's what it looks like it'll be.
I feel like it will be, but at the same time, maybe Kara's character could be his ex-girlfriend, and then he's got like his new girlfriend. Maybe
Could
I'm
be.
not
Could
too
be.
sure about that.
I've been wondering, like, if the woman we saw in the trailer is really in a relationship with the Mandalorian, I don't think she's going to make it very long. If this show is really modeled after the like classic Western, I think we could be seeing the Mandalorian having some intense tragedy right in the beginning.
Someone will get tied down to some railroad tracks.
Some ragtime plays. Because we know the Nick Nolte Ugnaught has just met the Mandalorian. People weren't sure if they were going to be longtime friends or not, but he has that line of, "I've never met a Mandalorian before. Welcome, Skynobi. This is apparently my Nick Nolte voice."
He's heard like the stories of him. Like he's like a legend in the galaxy, so and the best in Parsec. So are we getting like less or 5 where in the each series that we get, like some characters will be the best in the Parsec now that is what they're calling it, or will be like just those lines of that.
Yeah. I think there's some potential there. And then some people were wondering if some of the shots weren't flashbacks. Georgie.
Yeah, just because he's wearing 2 different, like a newer armor set later on.
Well, I think some of it, because there's shots that have droids in it. So I think some people were wondering if they weren't going to flashback.
It could be a flashback, but at the same time, we know in the Rise of Skywalker trailer, we do see that battle droid in the trailer. So I do feel like battle droids like will still be around at this time. But
we see them in the Resistance trailer too.
Yeah, we do, and I feel like they are reprogrammed for another purpose. So like someone could be reprogramming all these old battle droids that were left behind in battles. That sort of stuff.
Yeah, Georgie, that's exactly what I was about to say. One of the things that I've wanted most out of this, with whenever we see droids in these, is the droid Gotra. Like that's like that was something that was so talked about in so many books for so long, and then just kind of disappeared. And if the reason it disappeared was because, the production of the Mandalorian had started and it was a thing, then that would I don't know, I would really love that. It would be a payoff for some of my favorite parts, because that was in Most Wanted and that was in Last Shot.
Yep, it was my favorite part of Last Shot.
Yeah, and I feel like there were 1 or 2 other books that had the droid Gotra in it.
They're mentioned in the Afra comic, or no, the Darth Vader comic, I think, with that. Oh, anyway, Afra talks about them. I can't remember if it's in the her Vader comic or her comic. But, it's been mentioned all sorts of places, and I've been waiting for a big payoff with them.
I mean, even if it was just a reference, something
or an Easter egg, like in the background, that sort of thing.
Because we've had creators tell us before that sometimes, the story group will kind of drop, like, this random background character, just give them this name because it will connect to a thing, and it doesn't have to be important, but.
But
just have it there in the background, just please.
Well, it's just like I rewatched Solo this week for our Solo stream, or last week for our Solo stream.
Right.
And I knew that they talk about Black Spire in there because I'd known Black Spire was a thing when the movie came out, but they mentioned Doc Ondar in there in dialogue, and I never caught that before. So there's little ways you can do shout outs to things all over the place.
Yeah.
What about IG-11? I can never say his name correctly. Taika Waititi, his character. I'm imagining it's just his Thor Ragnarok character, but
Yeah, I'm the same with that.
I'm not. I wouldn't be mad, frankly, if that's all.
I mean, all the footage that we've seen of the IG-11 fighting. Looks like it's some of the coolest footage from the trailers. So
I wonder if IG-11 will be on board with Mandalorian from the very beginning, or will he join forces?
That's a good question.
Because we have seen when we see him in the first trailer, him and the Mandalorian kick down a door to a cantina or a place, and it's just really interesting. Will he meet in their journey? Or will they always be together? That's the one question that I have in my mind with IG-11.
That's a good thought too. I hadn't really considered that they might not be partners from the beginning. I think either way that could be fun.
Yeah.
Skynobi has a good question there. Do you think there will be business on Tatooine? Maybe the aftermath of Jabba's death. So I don't think Tatooine has been confirmed, but it's like we've seen dewbacks, we've seen like all kinds of references where, like, on the one hand, it looks like it's got to be Tatooine. On the other hand, if it is Tatooine, I don't know why you wouldn't just say.
I feel like it is Tatooine because
Yeah.
Jason Ward has like posted like screenshots of Mos Eisley, which is just like kind of like a hint that season we are on Tatooine, and I do feel like we are on Tatooine because it just seems familiar in the trailer. So
I mean, I feel like what my guess is that we start on Tatooine to give us something familiar, and then like it's like a pilot episode kind of thing, and then we move on. I don't think they're gonna dwell on Tatooine
for too long.
Yeah, just because I think, I mean, I mean, of course, I would love to see Tatooine because it's one of the most iconic planets, but I think they're going to want to not make it seem like it's too much of a retread of like a Boba Fett character, and I think they're going to want to take it in different directions.
Yeah. I think that we're going to end up seeing several planets in the show also. I mean, we've seen a couple different ones. There's certainly like the more wooded planet, and then the probably Tatooine planet. And I think that's better. Like, I feel like a bounty hunter show is more interesting when he's not on one planet. Like, he can have a home base. Like, maybe his home base is Tatooine.
Right.
But I'd like to see him move around a lot.
I do hope we explore more of the unknown regions in this show. This is something I brought up in one of my videos, that we are kind of like getting brand new planets, and maybe they are in the unknown regions, and I hope we do actually get to see like kind of like the rise of the First Order, like even seeing the Starkiller base getting built at that time frame, which will be kind of interesting.
That would be cool. So we had a couple other comments. Nolan in the chat says, I hope IG-11 downloads himself somewhere and does something cool. I mean, IG-88 became the Death Star in Legends, so you just never know. And then Skynovi says, I think he will go on season final, teasing season 2. That could be. Because Solo Pirate said, wonder if they will address the demise of Boba Fett. That is a good question. Like, do you think they'll bring up Boba Fett at all? Do you think they'll be like, no, he's dead in this universe? Like, I think they've said that they really don't want to put Boba Fett in the show, but they could at least tell us if he survives the Sarlacc in this
I feel like we are going to get a mention of Boba or Django even. But like, I think John Favreau said he just wants to stay away from Boba and Django at the moment in an interview I read, and I do hope Boba is mentioned. Because I think in one of the books or comics, like there was like a mysterious figure with Mandalorian armor on Tatooine. If I remember,
Aftermath. It's in some of the the early interludes.
Yep, somebody buys a set of armor off of the Sandcrawler.
I mean, personally, I would love to get a reference to Boba Fett, but I think that if they were going to put Boba Fett in the show would have been about Boba Fett.
I agree.
And given that it's not, I mean, I guess technically we don't know his name, so, but
but
I just we don't want Spider Boba. But if they wanted to do a Boba Fett show, they would have, and I feel like the decision not to do that likely means, I mean, maybe like a season 2 or 3 kind of thing. They work it in, but I don't see that happening in the first season.
Yeah.
I feel like it'll happen most likely in the second. Like, they just want to build up these brand new characters and explore, like, their backstories in a sort of way. And another thing as well, I do want to point out, in the trailer, I just love how we get to see like that kid who's like wearing Palpatine's robe from Revenge of the Sith, I do feel like that is cool. To
Yeah.
see like how he like holds out his hands, and it sort of like reminds you of Palpatine from Revenge of the Sith. So it'll be still interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah. I'm excited, and like what Sky Novi mentioned earlier is, there is a void of power with Jabba dying, and we see that a lot in the Aftermath trilogy, or I should say, they talk about that a lot in the Aftermath trilogy. And then even up until Bloodline, Leia is talking about how crime is on the rise because the New Republic doesn't really have the structure to take care of a whole galaxy like that without somebody like the Empire around to just kind of like forcibly do, even though there was still a lot of crime under the Empire.
Right.
Yeah.
And I could see this, especially if it is on Tatooine, really exploring that power void. In fact, even if the Mandalorian isn't the character from Aftermath, which is he has a name, it's Vance. So even if it's not Vance Cobb, I think we could get references to him. Or the Red Key was the name of the within that show. It would be awesome to see the what's the Vader cult from Aftermath? I'm drawing a blank. Because people think they turned into the Knights of Ren too, and it's gonna bother me.
Are they called Acolytes of
yes,
Beyond?
The Beyond.
Yep.
That's them. Oh, my brain just
I'll Google it.
You Google it. I rub my head as if that's gonna
yeah,
help.
I was just like, I was trying to remember that because I did start reading Aftermath. I got near the end of it, and I haven't like still touched the book yet. But
they're
like,
good though.
Yeah, like the Acolytes of Beyond
And
are
here comes chat. Like, here you go, guys. Thank you.
But yeah, it's like really interesting to see like the Acolytes of Beyond like as a live action TV show, or even like mentioned in the Mandalorian as well. I think that'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think something like that would be awesome. But I would love to see that power void like come into play, and what that means and what Tatooine is like. I know that in a lot of interviews Favreau said that he wanted that cantina experience, right? Like the Mos Eisley cantina was his kind of introduction to Star Wars, and he wanted to show like that side, but like a grittier side of and I think this would be a good way to do it too, because then you're literally showing the same cantinas but in this kind of degradation of society state.
And we also do see like the spikes as well of the stormtrooper helmets.
Yep.
So it'll be kind of interesting to see what that is about. So like the people did uprise after when the Empire was defeated. So it'll be kind of cool if we do ever find out what those spikes are for, or will we even see like a flashback towards people fighting the Empire on Tatooine after the Empire has fallen.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that too, because there have been little things about The Mandalorian where they've actually referenced parts of the animation from the Star Wars Holiday Special. The gun he has looks like the gun Boba has in that, and like the way he's riding around on creatures. But personally, I like to take this, considering that Lumpy is already canon again. I'd like to say that their stormtrooper presence on Tatooine just confirms the rest of the holiday special is in fact canon, because we saw the Imperial occupation in the Star Wars holiday special, and B. Arthur had to sing a song because of it. And
that could be the credits music is just good night but not goodbye over credits.
If the credits every week was good night or not goodbye, it would officially be my favorite show.
I mean, even if that was just an episode title, I would love
Good night but not goodbye. I would freak out. I'd be so happy on the inside. I don't know if you know that we have an intense obsession with the Star Wars holiday special here.
Yeah, I think I've figured that out as well. I mean, I kind of like the holiday special, but at the same time, it is so cringy even watch. Like, I got to like an hour in of it, and I was just like, okay, the animation is cool, but the rest of it, just a woman cooking with her pot, it's just like,
We watch it every year.
I may go back and try and watch the full thing if I can, like at Christmas, um,
It's
when
worth it.
when it comes, but it's like still like so cheesy at the same time.
Oh
Like
man,
even Mark Hamill was like smiling that like
he's
scene,
just
and
like,
it's just like, yep, we're
yep,
doing
I'm
this.
here. I love how I think it was Conan or somebody. He used to plague all the actors with like clips from that, and they'd be like, "How'd you get a clip of it?"
I just love Harrison's forward reaction when Jimmy Fallon asked him, "Do you
Yeah.
remember the holiday special?" No, we're just like he just like grabs him and just shakes him. No, and we just got like a clip of that there, and he's just like, "Nope, I do not remember any of that." Like he just wants to forget about the holiday special. So
Oh man.
I
But
do
at the
think
very least, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say while we're talking about potential references, another one that I would really enjoy is just as a nod to Bloodline. If somebody had like a hollow of Leia strangling
Yeah.
Jabba that they were like selling on the black market somewhere, because that comes up in Bloodline.
that would be interesting. Yeah.
I think one of the things I'm most excited about, all of these Disney Plus shows, is because I feel like this is an easy way for them to, just kind of toss off, random references to things that wouldn't matter if you didn't know what they were, but would be, really cool if you did.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity, and I'd even like to see the Nikto in Bloodline that kind of rises to power when Riven dies. I don't think Bloodline really establishes his age, but he would certainly be, or I mean, at the very least, he could be a kid, but I feel like he'd be around, and that would be a connection as well.
I hope like people on Tatooine do talk about Leia in a way, like, because in Bloodline she was referenced to Hut Slayer, was she not?
Yeah.
Yep.
If I remember correctly, and
Yep.
pretty much it'll be interesting if we hear like rumors of bounty hunters going after her in the show, like saying, "Oh, we're gonna get that Hut Slayer for what she did to Jabba," that sort of stuff. So that would be interesting.
Everything Star Wars says, you will get a lot of New Hope feeling with the show. Yes. I think there's going to be a lot of New Hope references. That's what Favreau was saying with the cantina. I don't think it's going to feel like a New Hope at all. I think you'll get like a lot of the New Hope references and like the look and stuff, but it looks like it's going to be darker and less about like youth goes off on adventure. Like I don't know. Like I feel like it is going to be a lot like New Hope, but also more like the mirror image. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's going to be a lot closer to Rogue One.
Especially with that scene near the end with Vader, which will always be an awesome scene. I hope we do. I hope we do get like more darker shows in the near future for like Disney Plus. Hopefully, even like a show about Bloodline. That would be kind of cool. Like even like have a tie-in book, even with Bloodline, have like a tie-in with a TV show. I think that would just be kind of cool because we really haven't had that much politics in Star Wars since episode 1, 2, and 3. So it'd be kind of cool just to have a TV show about politics in the galaxy at the time.
Yeah, I'd love to see more about like how the New Republic gets started. And like what is it like going? Yeah, right. But just like a lot of how do you transition out of a rebellion into a government, and we get a little bit of that in Aftermath, but to see that play, and even like something with this in this show too, just what the politics are like where there are no politics. So a bounty hunter obviously operates outside the law, and what is that? Does that matter on a planet where there is no law, like on Tatooine right now? Or I guess if the planet we see so much in the trailer is Tatooine, then there is that kind of like old rundown Moff type guy who's causing problems.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Another thing as well that I do like about the show so far, how we are still getting like Clone Wars references, which is still great with the Battle Droids, of course. I wonder if we'll get like any more references from Dave Filoni as he's directing it. Is it 2 episodes that Dave's directing, or only 1?
I think it's 2. He's definitely doing the first one.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of interesting to see, like, as we talked about at the start, if like any of his like animation characters or like any like references for planets will be kind of cool to see. That makes an appearance, or even a hint towards Ezra, as I said before, or even a hint to the next animation series from Dave, if we'll get one after the Mandalorian.
Yeah. And I kind of wonder, is his stories that he gets to handle, like, were they delayed because of Clone Wars and Mandalorian, or was the plan always to come back to that after Rise of Skywalker? You know he has plans.
Yeah.
Dave has everything planned.
Oh yeah, the one thing I found really cool in the trailer, though, how we're getting dewbacks back from episode 4, and we are also getting the Mandalorian fighting Trandoshans.
Yes.
Which I feel like he probably has a bounty on his head or whatever. That's why he's fighting Trandoshans, or like the Trandoshans are just maybe following him.
Yeah, after the same like bounty, maybe.
Yeah, and I still kind of find it cool, like with his electric staff that he has, which is just awesome.
Yeah, for sure. XY says, I hope we get to see different Imperial factions fighting each other. I am hoping for that too, because like I said, there's the one Imperial guy who has all the stormtroopers there, and it would obviously the Empire isn't around. I don't know where the show takes place in terms of Operation Cinder, but it would be cool to see some of Operation Cinder play out on screen. For those in the chat who might not know, that is a plot line that's in Battlefront 2. It's in the Aftermath books.
It's in Shattered Empire Comics.
Shattered Empire Comics.
Alphabet
Squadron.
Squadron.
Basically, Alphabet Squadron. Oh, it's been in a lot of the post-Return of Jedi material. Basically, the Emperor punishes the Empire for letting him down by destroying it himself. And it would be cool to see that play out on screen, or then to just see Imperial factions turn on each other.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that would bring me closer to getting, my beloved Ray Sloan back in Star Wars.
Where is Ray Sloan?
We need a Ray Sloan series, because her character is just so interesting and fascinating that we still haven't seen her in any of the Star Wars TV shows yet. I still feel like we are going to get her at some point.
We have to. They have to know how popular she is.
Yeah.
Solo says, too bad the Mandalorian couldn't get his hands on Slave One for the main ship of the series. I kind of, I think that would be a nice nod, but I kind of like the ship that they have, because I don't know if it's intentional, but to me it reminds me of the ship that Django has in the Bounty Hunter game that he got from Jasper Muriel. And even if that's not intentional, I like that as a connection back to Django too.
Ray Sloan and the Huxes and Unknown, that's definitely a story I'm interested in as well. But so much of the ship design seems to be, or show design, not just the ship design, seems to be throwbacks to a lot of, really, it seems like the creators' favorite parts that got them into Star Wars. I mean, even if it's just goofy stuff they remember from the holiday special.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be a really good show for bringing in that Legends material. It's kind of funny. I try to remind people, I watched the Clone Wars as it aired on television. Like, I saw the movie in theaters, and people don't remember that show was hated when it started.
Even Ahsoka was hated as well.
Even Ahsoka was hated when it started.
She was
I remember
considered
because
to
I
be the
hated
worst
the show.
character.
You were one of them.
And I hated the show because of Ahsoka.
But I remember trying to, having these conversations with people, and the other reason why they didn't like it is because Clone Wars would change that was going on in the expanded universe, which wasn't Legends at the time. And now, ironically, since the kind of great EU purge, the Clone Wars is the reason why so much stuff from Legends is still canon.
Right.
Yeah,
It's the reason why we still have Dathomir.
And I've also read from different forums way back in the day that many people hated the change to Mandalorians as well.
Yeah, they did.
Worst TV show, and I was just like, why? Bringing back Mandos and that sometimes some people's first introduction to Mandalorians, and I think it's a good way as well. If you've never seen the original trilogy before, if you're just growing up with prequels, you don't know who. Well, you knew who Django was, how he was a bounty hunter, but you don't know if there was more bounty hunters like him in the galaxy at that time. So it's just a nice way to introduce more Mandalorians to the galaxy from the TV show.
I agree with that completely. But yeah, I think the Mandalorian is going to be a good vessel for kind of bringing little bits and pieces back into canon. And I think that's something that a Disney Plus show is better for than, a movie. In a movie, you have 2.5 hours. There's only so much you can do. You have to tell it has to tell its own thing. And that's correct. George didn't care about the expanded universe at all, other than to step in a couple of times. Since we don't know who the Mandalorian is, do any of us think he could be revealed to be a former character from the EU? I think it's more likely that he would be a Legends character than to be somebody we already know in current canon.
Yeah,
I think it's more likely that they'll use a name like Jaster Muriel just to use a name than to make him the Mandalorian that we saw in the background of that one Rebels episode.
Right. I mean, I think too. It would be really cool if whatever his name was, because we know so much about certain clans. Even I think it would be a cool way to tie in the SWTOR era. To have some reference to Clan Ordo or something like that. Even if it's not a big deal, even if you just saw the Clan Ordo symbol as a tattoo or something. I feel like that would be the type of thing that would make it a Legends connection, but not entail a lot of specific details, but would mean a lot. Yeah, and that'd be cool too, Sin. I'd be down for that. I mean, assuming that Pablo Pascal's not too upset about it.
Yeah. I hope we find out who Corky Curtis's parents are. Maybe Amando is Satine Boken. Yeah. So this is my one thing. I know a lot of people really like Corky, and they really want to be related to Corky. And I don't mean this as shade to anyone else, but Corky is so boring, and I literally don't care. I just don't. I know there's so many people have fan theories that he's secretly Obi-Wan's son, and I'm Obi-Wan deserves better than Corky as his mysterious son we never knew about. And so I really hope, because Corky's in my second least favorite episode of the show of all time that I like to forget exists. But anyway, but at the same time, it would be cool to have that connection, and with Jan Favreau, it's possible. Exactly, Georgie. Exactly. That is my point. You have made my point.
Well, when he was introduced, I just couldn't stand him. Corky, at all. Yes, those 3 episodes were awesome, but if you just take Corky out of that, that would be much better.
That's Satine's nephew. He's in the Academy episode where Ahsoka goes and teaches a bunch of Mandalorian children about corruption. And the thing is, it's an important episode because it's where you find out the Prime Minister is bad and stuff, but I can't. But there's so many other connections I'd rather than make. But no, I think what was the name of the guy? I'm blanking now on this too. Maybe it was it couldn't have been Jaster because he's PT era. There was a character in Legend, Jordo Cast, right? He was sometimes confused with Boba Fett, or people thought it was Boba Fett's name. There's 3 different Legends explanations for who he was, but he was from the other moon. Anyway, I thought it that would be fun if his name was Jodo Cast or Jordo Cast, because that would be a really inside Legends reference, because here's a character everyone thought was going to be Boba Fett and it's not, and here's the character from Legends that often got mistaken for Boba Fett, and it would just be kind of like a funny inside joke that the people who would get it would think it's great, but the people who don't get it would be like, oh, that's his name, that's cool, you know.
It'd be like with Fact Pop working in Fake Wedge.
Yeah. Which is a great story. I think was that Jason Fry's? I think it was Jason Fry's story.
I don't remember. You would know better than
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I so much of that book is burned into my memory because of the stuff I did. But no, I think that's the kind of thing that would be really, really a lot of fun. And sorry for my rant. Clone Wars is like my favorite show of all time, but even
Same
in my
here.
favorite show of all time, there's like 2 or 3 episodes I don't watch.
I still like sometimes when I'm rewatching the Clone Wars, like if it's like a boring politics episode,
Yeah.
I always skip that episode because like even though I'm not really into politics in real life, I just ignore politics in general.
Mm-hmm.
But like now that I went back and rewatched the Clone Wars like
Mm-hmm.
a year ago, I do find it like interesting the politics in Star Wars interesting.
Yeah. The way things go. Yeah, I tended to like those episodes more. The one I really can't stand is the one where Satine and Padme team, and they like find out that there's laced Mountain Dew in a school, and then Satine freaks and like burns down a warehouse for no reason. Like that's it. I made myself rewatch that one recently because I was going back through the show, and I'm like, I still don't get what this episode is. I don't understand what this is. Exactly, Sid. Our favorite things can still have things we don't like about them. Because then that same season that brought me those 2 episodes also gave me the Mortis trilogy. And, you know, you win some and you lose some. Yep,
like,
the Dathomir episodes too.
I love it as well how they did bring like Mortis back into Rebels, like that connection with the world between worlds, and I hope we do kind of see that in Jedi Fallen Order, a world between worlds, which will be like
very possible,
really interesting.
But I enjoy all of the interconnectedness of all of it. But speaking of that, and since we've been talking about The Mandalorian, what are your guys' thoughts on just what a show like this means for Star Wars overall? Because I think that, you know, I think Disney Plus is going to kind of, whether they want to admit it, or, I think Disney Plus is going to kind of become what the anthology films were going to be. You know, Kenobi was supposed to be a movie, and now it's going to be a show. And I think it's going to be better than as a movie. I'm certainly far more intrigued by it as a show than as a 2.5-hour movie where he sits in the desert. Until I find out that it's going to be something other than that. But as a show, I think that's far more interesting, and you can be way more introspective and explore. But I mean, do you think that this kind of thing is a good evolution for Star Wars to kind of like keep the movies few and far between, but then still get more on-screen content like this?
I still like the idea of like having standalone movies because I really did enjoy Solo for what it was, even though people say that it did fail at the box office. I didn't care. Like Solo was just one of the best movies to come out after Rogue One, and you know, I do hope they do continue with the anthology films, or even just like have like one anthology film like a year on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
I think that would be kind of cool without having to like split it into TV shows. But yeah.
Well, I've been a big defender since longer than most of our audience has been alive. Because like back in the early like mid 90s, like we used to get like a lot of miniseries on like network television, you know, that would run like every night, you know, it'd be like an episode for 6 nights or something like that. And I've always thought that there's value in a miniseries format, and I really like that premium subscription television has allowed us to get, you know, like an 8 to 15 episode season, because I feel like there's a lot of things you can do, you know, with more time than 2.5 hours, but without having to have like a full like 22, 24 episode season 2. and I think that there's a lot of things that they can explore in the space of the Star Wars universe, and give us things that honestly we would never see in a film because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make financial sense to make films about everything that I would want to see a film about.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to see this take the place of every other type of Star Wars film we might can get because even just the experience of seeing it in the theaters, I would hate if that's a thing I never got to experience again.
Yeah.
Right.
But if it's new content and it's content that we would not have gotten otherwise, and it's good. So Georgie said, it
Yeah.
depends on how it does. Like I
Yeah.
think, assuming that it's good, I think that this can be a good thing for the franchise, and I also think too that having it on a scale like this allows Lucasfilm to kind of test out a lot of different creators
Of course. Yeah.
and give them
Yes.
whether it's people who are doing like the literal filmmaking and the cinematography, or bringing in Dave Filoni to do an episode,
Yep.
or did
I
who
no,
else?
yeah.
I was gonna say
Sorry.
I'm trying to remember other people who are getting episodes of this, just because I feel like there's like this is a way, like a proving ground, these Disney Plus
Yeah.
shows, and to have it be something that in a lot of ways pays for itself.
Yeah.
Makes it a different type of financial risk for the the production company, or for Disney and Lucasfilm,
Of course. Yeah.
then we don't ever have to hear conversations about box offices again.
And plus
which is
two,
fun
and
with me
plus
too.
two, like it even brings like people who create animation TV shows have more experience in filmmaking as well.
Mhm.
If they ever want to do like their own film,
Yep.
standalone film, and it just broadens out like the idea of just having a TV show, which is kind of cool.
Well, and to that point, we're already seeing that happen. There's the director who did, or the director of the Kenobi series did 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, and they liked her so much that now she gets the Kenobi series.
Yeah,
And I think this is good because you can bring in. You don't have to go after like the big names and take a risk on somebody with a multi-million-dollar movie.
of course, yeah.
You can bring somebody in on a couple $1 million episode of a thing, that then has the whole series to support it, even if they make a lackluster episode.
Yeah.
Figure out who you like, and then hopefully we don't have to have these, oh, the Game of Thrones guys aren't making movies now thing anymore, because now maybe the next whoever, I mean, Ryan Johnson's still doing his, but after his trilogy, maybe from now on the filmmakers will just be from the pool of TV directors. Or give Gareth Edwards another shot.
Yeah, like I hope like we do see like either Phil Lord or Christopher Miller come back to Star Wars, because I still want to know what their version of Solo
Yeah.
would have been like, or even give them like a couple episodes to do on their own. And even though like we are getting live action series, which I think is great, and I feel like near the future we won't be seeing any more Star Wars at the cinema. We'll just be seeing it like on our home media and on our streaming services. So I feel like they're gonna kind of like stop having Star Wars films at the cinema every year, as Bob Iger did say that they're kind of like bringing out too many Star Wars at once. In an interview I read, so it'll be like kind of cool.
He did come out and say that.
I think it'll be kind of cool just to have like each new Star Wars movie on Disney Plus each year, rather than having it in the cinema.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just also think that they're like, as much as I like talking about film directors that I would love to see get involved, I think that having this is going to allow Star Wars as a franchise to tap into a lot of really good television creative content. People there's so many showrunners for really successful and popular and well-made television shows that would never get the chance to direct a movie because that's not their strong suit. That could be brought in to do an episode of Cassian or Kenobi or whatever. And I feel like it's going to allow Star Wars to not only be a proving ground for new people, but to specifically bring in more established people who would never get a shot at a feature-length film because it's outside of their wheelhouse.
I agree, and I think that it also creates a place to play around with tone. So, like, from what little we know about Lord and Miller, the big issue with what they were doing was the tone. And obviously, with something that's going to be a cinematic release and something you're still trying to test, you don't want to do something feels that far outside of what they've done before. Like even Rogue One, which felt different than a saga film, didn't feel unlike Star Wars. But you can do an episode of Kenobi that's trippy because he's having a force vision or something. Like you can play around and try something different, or you can try something more comedic. And then if it falls flat, it falls flat because it's an episode or a mini series, and whatever. Like you try it, and I mean, heck, the MCU has, I'm not exaggerating, 10 shows in development, right? Not all of them are going, statistically, not all of them are going to be winners. Like they're kind of doing the, let's throw darts at the dartboard and see what sticks. And, you know, some are going to be great and some are going to be whatever.
Right.
But like now with Star Wars, you kind of have that opportunity to really play around with how weird can you go, how different can you go, what is too dark, gritty, and violent for Star Wars, what is and what's not. Because I think that's a thing. You have some people who would really like to see, I don't necessarily mean the two directors, Star Wars, but Game of Thrones, something that violent or what have you. And there's some people who never want that. No. But you can kind of find what that good line is through Disney Plus in a way you don't want to risk in a movie.
Yeah.
We're kind of coming up on time. Do you have any kind of last thoughts or things you want to say about your hopes for The Mandalorian before we wrap it up?
I just hope it's just a good TV show in general. Like we have, this is like our first official Star Wars live action show that we are getting, and it's great. And I just hope it just does well.
I think for me, my hope is less about the show itself. Bounty hunting, I like bounty hunters. I like underworld stuff in Star Wars, but it's not my forte. I'm much more of a force stuff kind of person. So I don't necessarily need the show to be one thing or another. I hope people really give the show a chance. I think Resistance has kind of gotten... people talk about Resistance and they're always like, oh, this is just a filler episode. This is just a filler episode.
Yeah.
And I think people are so used to binge watching stuff on Netflix. You know, Netflix drops a new season of Stranger Things and you can watch the whole thing right there and you're done. You don't notice how much filler there is because there's no sense of, oh, this is all I get for a week.
Right.
But with Mandalorian coming out once a week, I hope people are patient and people understand that, like, you have to let the show breathe and maybe things won't feel slow if you're watching it back when it's all done. Or maybe I'll be wrong and maybe it'll be nonstop action for 8 episodes. I just hope people don't get mad because the show feels a certain way just because Disney Plus is dropping the season in a different...
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to do it for us today. So if you haven't already, if you're in the United States, at least, and select other countries, you can watch The Mandalorian starting next week, next Tuesday. When it premieres. This time a week from now, we'll be in a different Star Wars world.
And I'm gonna drop the link in chat, but you guys, if you enjoyed listening to Official Bindu, you should go check out his YouTube and watch a video and leave a like and a comment on something and subscribe. Yep. But it was good to have you back and to talk with you again.
Thank you for having me on again. It's been a pleasure being here.
So glad to have you.
And thanks you guys for hanging out in the chat. If you haven't already, you can like the stream. You can follow us on all of our places. You know where they are. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.